Hey everybody, thanks for joining us at He Works Hard for the Honey again. If you remember last week, we transferred some brood frames from one hive to another. Today we're going to go in there, we're going to make sure that that's sort of all worked out, see how the population's working out in here. And if you'll remember also, there had been what they call a supersedure cell created while it was still in the other hive. That would be a cell where they would create another queen by giving her sort of the extra nutrition, the royal jelly. If that's still there, I'm gonna wipe that out. So we're potentially getting to a point where we are going to have to put on a second super, or we're going to have to fill this box with frames to give them room to expand. When they start to feel too cramped, that's the point when they're going to start creating new queens and they are going to want to swarm. And we want to be good neighbors. We don't want swarms up in the trees here. So we'd like to avoid that as best we can. Oh, they're starting to make a little bit of comb on the top there. Not so bad that I need to remove it, but... And we're going to work our way in and just see how much of this standard to put another box on. We'd want to see 80%, or probably 7 out of the 8 frames in here filled up. So let's see where they've been doing their work. So if I haven't mentioned it in previous videos, bees are funny about space. They need 3/8 of an inch. Anything more than 3/8 they'll build comb into. Anything less than 3/8 they'll use propolis, which is sort of a natural adhesive which they've gone and done to some of the frames here to stick them together. Little bee knowledge for you. And also an explanation why that other one is sticking to it as I'm picking it up. All right. We've got bees here. No wax yet. So no need to fill this out yet, unless some serious work's been done all through the rest. Yeah, some serious work has been done here. Oh, and there's even some capped brood in here. So good. There's some work being done. Some capped brood on this side as well. You'll see there's a cell down here. Let me get a good hold on this. That's a little bit larger than the rest, right here. And that's a drone cell. So that is, of all of these, the only one that will be a male. Drones are usually a little more towards the outside of the frame where it can be a little bit cooler. We got some wax with some nectar. I see eggs, I see brood, so there is sort of all forms of the cycle on this. All right, and they are definitely taking notice of me. If you can't tell. Yeah, one of these guys is headbutting me. So when they're headbutting you, that's when they're really letting you know they've had enough. And my streak of not being stung stays intact. I remain at 2. And generally, if you take a couple of steps back when a bee's really rushing you, sit still and don't swat at them, largely you're going to be A-okay. You're going to be okay. Yeah. This is feeling much heavier than it was last week. You'll notice just about the whole thing is covered in capped brood. I see some nectar mixed in, a couple of drone cells. This is a really good frame though, and it looks like they're continuing to fill it out. So these guys, you'll notice we're not too far into this. These guys are really, really getting towards needing another box. I don't know if you can see, there's actually capped honey up in this corner. I think they're covering it up right now. And my hope is that when we get to the other hive, that those guys, I put some honey supers on there last week, that there's going to be, at the very least, some comb up top there, and at best, some honey and potentially some capped honey that's ready to go. You want to be careful putting these frames back in, as I maybe have pointed out on a couple of my videos this week. There's a queen in here that the hive really can't do without. They can make another one, but let's keep it simple and not smash around my queen while we're in here investigating. Yes. All right. Here we see just a really large frame, and it is almost completely covered in brood. That's not capped over yet, except for some of the ones on the right. Once again, we've got some capped honey up in the corners. And let's see what we've got on the other side. Don't see my queen on this one, but you tend to find her in the middle. This is, you can tell from the wood, it's a little more worn. This is one of the old frames. Also, the wax has taken a darker color, which just means that it's repetitively had brood sort of mature and become bees in it, and that gives the wax a darker color, which is another reason we don't really want eggs and brood in the honey supers. let's keep working our way. And like I said, I remember a supersedure cell, and I'm imagining it's gonna be on this frame. Because it was one that came from the old hive, or the nuke. Boy, and these are really some full frames. This is really fantastic for, and again, I see larvae, I see eggs, I see sort of capped larvae, which is just about ready to pop, and it looks like they took care of that supersedure cell themselves. As you saw pictures, my queen has a little yellow dot on her and is crawling around in there, being fed by her attendants, and making her way around, ready to lay more eggs, which is fantastic. Good. Well, I'm actually really pleased that supersedure cell is gone. I was worried they may use that simply because it's there, or if they did start to feel a little crowded. Now that I know that's gone, we're gonna skip right over to this side. I see what looks like a clear frame here. So far, no reason to put another super on there. And actually, it looks like there's some space on this as well. Good, they're starting to fill this side up. I see some capped honey on the next frame in here. You can see some of the capped honey up here in the corner. Some of those closed cells. And I'm assuming that my wax must have warped and given them a little sort of odd space to fill in there. I'll probably take that out the next time I'm in there, and try to create just a sort of flat frame for them. But there's some really good looking nectar cells really over this whole frame so far. They're really filling that in well. So I'm going to put this back and let them continue to do that. It looks like, at least for the time being, they've got plenty of space in the hive, although that really is helping them, helping their population fill out. And hopefully, and we'll go check on the other hive. I believe we're also going to take a little time to move it into a little more neighbor-friendly space. Right after I take a look at this last frame. Which has capped brood and honey. Yeah, these guys are really filling their space out. You can see again the light covered honey cells up here, and the brood cells over here, which are a little darker, have a sort of more yellowy color to them. I don't know if you can see from this angle, but I can see some brood in the bottom of some of those cells, some of the larvae. And eggs are really difficult to see with the naked eye. They're very, very small. I saw some on one of the other frames. I don't see any. Oh, no, there are eggs in here. So they're sort of larvae at every level, which is a beautiful thing. We always want to see larvae and eggs and capped brood as much as is possible. One of the things I said about sort of straightening out the frames, it looks like this one warped at a certain point, and some of the metal got on the outside, which is kind of why they're building funny. I'm going to see if I can just snap these in and straighten that out a little bit without causing too much harm. All right, we always want to put the frames back in the way we took them out. Like the scouts used to say, leave everything as you found it. Because, like I said, these are funny about space. We want to keep these frames close together in here. Yep. All right. My streak has come to 3. So I'm going to close this up quickly. I tell you though, bee stings are good for arthritis. They make your body produce cortisol, which is the natural version, if you've ever had a cortisone shot. Then you have what is very similar to what I just got in the wrist. And the reason we're going to want to close this up quickly is that bee actually died by giving me that little sting, but he also leaves a sort of distress pheromone to sort of alert everyone else that there's danger. Danger, Will Robinson, danger. So not only have I had that one sting, but after that you're more prone to be stung a second time. So we are going to wrap up. We're going to do our best not to kill any other bees. And we're going to move to the next hive and move that a little bit. We're going to give our poor neighbors a little tree cover from what's going on over here, and check and see how their population is doing, hopefully slowing down a little bit. Thanks guys, join us again next week.